everyone doing?
Amazing, amazing, amazing. I am so grateful to be here today. The first time that I heard about this conference was exactly 1 year ago when I was reaching out to some influencers. And I was like, what is Bansko? And I started looking into it and was instantly connected to it given my life path. So I'm super excited today to be able to share with you different ways that exist of building wealth while traveling and how you can do that too. Before we jump in, I'm super curious on who's here. So I'm going to ask everyone to stand up. Go, 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 stand up. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start counting from 0 up to, we'll see how much, to see who's in the room. How long have you been on the road? How long have you been traveling? So let's get going. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow. So we're at 8 right now, and check out the people that are still standing up right now. These are people that have an immense amount of resources, and everyone that was also standing up right before you, you saw who was next to you. These are people that you're going to be able to have almost just as much, if not even more, information than what I'm sharing today, because they've also been doing it for super long. So congratulations, guys, for doing it so long, and hope everyone else also gets to that point. With that said, again, super grateful to be here. My name is Joaquim Miro. I've been on the road for the last 8 years, traveling to over 60 different countries while building different income streams and building businesses along the way. I'm gonna quickly introduce myself just so you have an understanding of who you're listening to today and why I'm talking about the stuff I'm talking about. So over the past few years, I've been building these different businesses, and I've done it the whole time while trying to find a way to grow my career through travel. And that led me to today, where I help entrepreneurs and digital nomads and location-independent professionals to come together to live in these beautiful villas where they can continuously develop themselves both professionally and personally alongside other people that are also down to do that in some of the most beautiful places in the world. At the same time, I'm also a partner at GDA Capital, where we invest, incubate, and accelerate projects mostly in the Web3 and the fintech space. But it wasn't always the case. When I started in 2015 traveling, I had less than $5,000 to my name and decided to go on the road, one-way ticket, and I'll go into a bit more of that. But the point is that there was multiple different life paths that came for me to get to where I am today. And those life paths are what's important as long as you keep pushing forward. Most people think that life paths to success either look like an exponential graph, to the top, or a slow grind going, step by step on a staircase. But I would argue that it actually looks a lot more like this. Every single one of us has a unique way to come to the world, a unique thing to offer, and it's really a path that as long as you continue to push forward, then you're able to recreate that genius work on a regular basis towards what it is that for you will be success. And so one of my favorite essentially equations would be that success equals time times focused effort on what's most important now to the power of consistency. The number one thing is to consistently go at it, and I'm going to come back to that in more detail. But first, let's look into how to build wealth while traveling. I'm going to use a lot of the stories that I've encountered in the different ways that I've tested over the last 8 years to give you guys an idea, and hopefully you can extrapolate some of those to inspire you to test out these different things if you haven't either heard of them or tried them already. It all starts in 2015 when we both quit our job, my now fiance and I, and decided to go to Vietnam. It's summer in Vietnam. It's like crazy hot. We're with the motorbikes, and we have less than $3,000 to our name at that time. And we're like, okay, what do we do now? 2015, remote work was not a thing yet. If there was some, you were super lucky, and it was very difficult to find those types of jobs online. But what I was certain about was that there's a way to grow my career through travel and to continuously do that over time in order to build a wealth of experiences, all the while also be able to generate just enough to start building up that portfolio. And so I figured I need to be as frugal as possible here. So for almost a year and a half, we're only spending $5 a day. I kid you not, $5 each, so $10 total. With inflation, that would be like the equivalent of $10 each a day. And it was really a bartering phase. So we were hitchhiking, couch surfing, living on organic farms with woofing. We lived on a sailboat where we were essentially helping to cook. I had to teach myself how to cook. Busking with music. We even did Vipassana, a 10-day meditation session because it's donation-based. ended up that was also a lot better to actually do Vipassana the proper way, which we did after. But the point is, we found every single way, alternative way of traveling, because the number one thing was how can I extend that runway so that I have enough time to find what it is that I'm good at, build a portfolio around it, and then start offering that portfolio. And so 80% of my time would go towards things that would just continuously like push us to, we'll say, survive, to keep making enough to keep going. And then 20% would go towards building up a portfolio. For me, it ended up being building websites and also doing different digital marketing things. And so we created a mini marketing agency. But people, since I didn't have the skills or the portfolio yet, were not willing to pay a lot of money for it. So I would do it for almost free in exchange for example, staying in a hotel or staying in a hostel or what have you. And over the years, by doing that, in the first 2 years, I started building up enough of a portfolio to be recognized in the space. And that led to us being able to command more money and to start having more of a, of a regular lifestyle. We would still be able to be frugal by having super long-term stays. For example, like Airbnb back in the day when it used to be cheap and a great resource, or different monthly sublets, or house sitting, for example. We were able to live in paradises for next to nothing because we were doing this slow travel. And during this time, again, it was all about that 80-20 rule. If there's one thing that I would want you to take away from this in terms of how to build wealth versus money, is that 80% of your time can go towards what is generating income, but at least 20% should go towards investing in yourself. That means investing time in something that you have access to the upside of. That could be investing in a portfolio with money, or it could be investing your time towards getting shares or equity in certain startups that could eventually end up representing a lot larger of an amount of money than what you're saving through your regular job. And that's exactly what ended up happening for us. After the third or fourth startup that I was working with, one of them started going really well. I was able to sell some shares in it and really start like scaling a lot more into different things. During this time, the one thing I want to really point out is that there's traditional investments and alternative investments that were continuously happening. And because I had more time again, right? Time, the most important resource. I was able to start also looking at alternative investments such as crypto and everything. And while it was only a meager amount of money, it did allow to start really grow that portfolio. And that led me to where we currently are now, which is a lot more around purpose travel. So I'm now at a position where there's enough money being generated passively that I don't have to focus as much on generating a specific salary, but rather to invest and diversify that. So if anyone in the room is currently at that stage as well, I'm happy to go a lot deeper into this, but I did want to focus more of the time on the specific ways to essentially hack through the system in order to get to that level, which is through getting access to that upside. There's a lot of things that I realized I was lacking over time when I was traveling. The first one being money. When I came in, it's like, okay, how am I going to make this happen if I don't have money, if I have so little money? And I'm going to need skills and knowledge. And so I started building up those skills and knowledge, and then realized that I need sustained motivation day in, day out, that intrinsic motivation to make it happen. And so I realized that there was actually just a tip of the iceberg, because yes, this is my attempt at making an iceberg. So habits and motivation are like really the basis of what allows for that knowledge and skills. And then I realized that if you have those habits and motivation, you need to be in right environments, or else you continuously have FOMO of like going to that temple, going to this cathedral, going on this adventure. There's so much stuff that happens when we're traveling, right? You're continuously in a space where things are changing and there's opportunities, awesome things to do. And so putting yourself in environments, in a slow travel environment where it's possible to go deep into your work around other people that are inspiring, make it a lot easier to not have to take your own motivation, but just do the thing, because that's what everyone else around you is also doing. And so for that, I figured that I needed a clearer purpose on why I was doing that. At first, it was to grow my career through travel, but then that wasn't enough anymore. What was it that I wanted to contribute to the world, which to me ended up being these intentional communities? So I realized that actually, instead of it being an iceberg, I would invite you to look at it a lot more like a pyramid, where you have this foundation of these three super important building blocks that people don't generally relate to money. Instead, they say, okay, you need to do this tactic, this thing to get there. But really, in the end, determines your success is your process towards that outcome. And so I'm gonna focus on these three building blocks because I believe that if you're looking to upskill yourself in knowledge and skills, or you're looking for different ways to save money or to make money, then there's immense amounts of resources if you start looking that up. And also, even with ChatGPT, from what I've checked out, is actually quite interesting, the things that they recommend in terms of investments and what have you. So starting with clarity and purpose. If you haven't read The Alchemist, amazing book, Paulo Coelho, one of my favorite authors, says, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. And I find that if you are clear on what you want and you have a very clear offer statement towards it, then that makes it super possible. Another way to look at that is to imagine that you're an archer. Let's say that you have your eyes closed and you're trying to hit a target. What are the chances you're going to hit it? Astronomically low. You need an immense amount of dumb luck to make it happen. However, if your eyes are open, if you have a clear target, if you've checked out all the factors, by the time you let the arrow go, there's a much stronger chance it's going to hit the target. And that's exactly what happens when you're moving with clarity and purpose versus when you're just kind of doing it because that's what you're doing at the moment. And so I'd ask you right now, what's your number one thing? If I went up to you right now and asked, what's your number one thing? What's your number one goal? Which is, there's a whole book about it called The Number One Thing by Gary Keller. What would you say? And if you're unable to answer that, then I welcome you to go through some of the activities I'm about to show you. We won't have time to do them in this room, unfortunately, but it'll be essentially homework to do in the next week if you have some time. And once you do have that number one thing, are you measuring it? Are you actively measuring it either in a spreadsheet or by having said it out loud to people that are close to you and that they can keep you accountable to that? So one of these frameworks to develop clarity is Simon Sinek's Why, How, What framework. Amazing framework to gain clarity on what that why is. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And then once I've figured that out, how am I going to go about it? And then what am I going to offer? And once you've gone through that framework, and if you look up Why, How, What framework, it's going to explain, and there's a whole activity about it, you're going to be able to create an offer statement such as, I help X person, the who, do Y thing, the what, without having to deal with XYZ, which is your how, because mission, which is your why. Some more in-depth activities that can be done here, and again, I really wish we had time to do these. The number one would really be your ikigai. I'm guessing that a lot of the people in this room have heard that word before. If you haven't, then I strongly, strongly recommend you look it up or you ask other people around about it. Your ikigai will essentially show you what your unique skill sets and what unique skill sets are and how they fit in a way where it's perfect for the world, you can get paid for it, you're excited about it, and you're good at it. And you figure out what that middle point is, and oftentimes that's going to really be focused on your purpose. For example, in So Good They Can't Ignore You, an amazing book, he really explains that in the end, to find your passion is going to be very, very close to that ikigai. So once you have that, once you have a clear idea of that why, then we got to put SMART goals around it. You got to keep yourself accountable and then measure those goals over time. And once those goals are done, then it's a lot easier to have that offer statement because then in one sentence, when I say what I'm doing, people will immediately have that light bulb. Oh, I know this person. Oh, I have this organization that could help you. And the doors just start opening like we saw in that Alchemist quote. So I really welcome you to do these activities. If you haven't done them before, they will bring an enormous amount of clarity. Next, we're looking at environments. So we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. I'm guessing that you have definitely heard this before. If you haven't, well then, welcome to Jimron. And something that I find is just as true is that your network is your net worth. You end up becoming those people that are around you. And so what is it that determines a good environment? For example, is the environment on the left or the right a better environment, in your opinion, to do deep work? One where you'll feel motivated day in, day out to go and smash out that one thing that you need to do that day. I find it's pretty self-explanatory which one is an easier environment that doesn't have a lot of those pulls towards things that are necessarily fun, but not necessarily great to continue to push forward. So over the last 3 years, I've really tried all different types of co-livings around the world and other ways such as setting up Airbnbs myself with friends or family or acquaintances. I tried all these different types of ways of living with others because I found that it was super lonely to do it alone. And so I came up with 6 super important things that are important to get into that right environment. The number one and most important are the people that you're around. You want people that are going to inspire you to continuously better yourself and become a better version of yourself over time. Trustworthy, reliable, growth-minded people. Second, you want reliable internet and power, which nowadays is easier and easier with Starlink and what have you. You want access to healthy food on a regular basis. Deep work blocks so that you can do that number one thing every day. Expansive visual environments, both inside and outside of the house, because those give you that abundance mindset, and every day you're inspired to keep going because you're around that type of environment. This is why I love Bansko. Every time we go outside, we see these beautiful mountains. It's like, wow, amazing. And six, the easy access to healthy habits. So whatever your self-care routine is, meditation, yoga, workouts, whatever that is for you, sleeping properly, having an environment where it's easy to sleep, wherever that is, it needs to be there, or else it's going to grind you down over time. And so after doing all of these different types of co-living and other methods of living with other people, I realized that I couldn't really find anything that had all of these six together, which is why I decided to create Remote Work Villas, an environment where it's completely focused on these six pillars. My dream is to co-create a community of thousands of amazingly inspiring professionals that are location independent and that can live and grow together. And we do that by doing these fully serviced villas where we can connect together and continuously grow either our business or whatever you're doing personally and are looking to grow. We've done these in 4 different locations to date: in Bali, in Los Angeles, in Vancouver Island, and in Mexico. The next one's happening in November in Dominican Republic. If you are interested in joining, then feel free to reach out at Remote Work Villas on Instagram. Last but not least, habits. And these, I would say, are truly last but not least. It's the most important in the end. Because as Seneca once said, you don't choose your future, you choose your habits, and they determine your future. And we all know some of those habits that we have that are helping us and others that are not. And so if you want to change your life, you need to change those things that you do daily. And Seneca is one of the top philosophers in Stoic philosophy. If you're into those types of quotes, and then start reading his stuff, it's incredible. Another very, very good author that focuses on these habits is the author of Atomic Habits. An amazing, amazing book where he really focuses on all of these different ways that little tiny habits add up. For example, if you want to start working out or you want to start doing push-ups every day, the goal shouldn't be to do 20 push-ups. The goal should be to do 1. And if you do 1, then the chances of you doing 2, 3, 4, 5 are much higher. The same concept goes if you want to save $8 per day, that's $3,000 a year. Just 1% betterment on a daily basis over 1 year, that's 37 times better. Second year, that's 1,500 times better. Imagine being 1,000 times better than you currently are right now. And I know this is theoretical, but just imagine it. Just how different would you be than you are currently? And would that make it easier to command exactly the type of income that you want and to be such in control of yourself that it would be possible to do those things that you keep putting off? I'll let you answer that yourself. Finally, what are those habits that are important in order to make that happen? Breathing, eating, sleeping, moving, focusing, celebrating, and prospering. These are the 7 fundamentals that together are allowed to build up your zest. Zest is essentially your soul energy, the thing that is most correlated to success and flourishing over time. These aren't my words, this isn't my opinion, it's really just in focus to heroic.us. Brian Johnson, incredible, incredible resource. Heroic.us has a free app with over 1,000 self-development books that he's summarized into 20 minutes each, and he really helps you create these different programs, and it's all free. Imagine Blinkist, but super practical towards continuously leveling up. And so this is one of the things that he truly focuses on is in his 1-year life coaching program. And so we don't have much time, but I would still welcome you mentally to think, right now, where do you stand in all of those 7 habits from a scale of 0 to 10? And add those up in your brain as you go down to get to a score of 0 to 70. If you're anything like me, you're probably between a 40 and a 70. 40 and a 50, my bad. And the reason why it's 40 to 50 is because every single time that you make better habits, those become, what was your prior best becomes your new baseline. And so you're continuously trying to build upon that. And that's how you end up generating a strong enough foundation that allows for that abundance to flow through. And so I would welcome you to do this activity on your own time, second piece of homework, where you personally know what some of the things that you're doing are that you shouldn't be doing, and what some of the things that you should be doing are. And so just by writing them down, you've made them reality. And then if you actually share that with someone, there's a 10x, there's more than 10 times the chance of you actually following through with it. So I welcome you to write that down, share with someone that you care about their opinion, and then after that, there's a much stronger chance that you're actually going to start doing that. For example, for me, I had a lot of trouble sleeping, and so I stopped looking at any screen after 10:30 p.m., which now allows me to sleep at least those 8 hours. So now you know the different foundation that brings those results. The stronger the foundation, the taller the pyramid. And I really welcome you to consider that those are the things that will end up generating wealth. All the tactics of the world will allow you to make momentary money, but it won't necessarily build up that experience, capital, like career capital, and money wealth. What I hope you remember today is these three things. Number one, invest wisely. Invest in your time, invest in financial markets, invest in those 7 fundamentals that we talked about, in the environment and the community that you're around, because those will ultimately determine the success. Number two, have a super clear purpose. What are you doing? What's your contribution to yourself, to your community, and to the world? And three, nurture your network. Your network does become your net worth, so do always value it, because if you're around people that are negative all the time, you'll be negative. If you're around people that are optimists all the time, you'll be optimist. It just happens because we are very social creatures, and we end up becoming a lot like the people that we're around through that social pressure. So that's really what we focus on at Remote Work Villas. If you could continue to do what it is that you're doing right now, you could try and bring friends together to create these yourself, or you can join us on this journey. And it's super simple. You can go to the website to apply, and you feel free to follow on Instagram, Remote Work Villas. I hope that this has been enlightening in some way for you, and I'll now open the floor.